As part of administration's strategy to implement infrastructure and economic development agenda, the Delta State government in Nigeria says its planned Warri Industrial Business Park is a risk-free investment zone.
I'm saying that government has taken a reasonable equity in that business. Government has made a commitment of $100 million US, and government has put down $40 million US. We did that in the last bond, and that is to take off the infrastructural development and pre-operational expenses required to take it to the next level. It takes a lot to do a master plan. It takes a lot to do pay compensation for the land. It takes a lot to do the engineering drawings for the properties. It takes a lot to get the EIA. All of this have been gotten. We're also at the point of even closing out on it being a special economic zone, which confers a lot of privileges. All of those are costs, and government has done that. And that has strong equity in government business.
Now, when talking about opportunity, they don't talk about the risk. And I spoke about the risk security issue that we have in Delta and all over Nigeria. So they are aware now of the opportunity as well as the risk, and they can go back and analyze and say, do I need to go and invest in Nigeria, and in particular in Delta State? They will be able to have make informed judgment and decision, and then decide on their investment.
But why an industrial park? We got the project director, Helen Omore, to address this point and the concession interests involved.
We need to come out with an industrial park because if you follow the trends and the analysis and the forecasts about Nigeria's economy, our population should double in another 25 years or so. And even currently, we have over 70 people who are less than 40. 70% of our population is less than 40. That means you have a young and vibrant population that needs to be engaged. With 23% unemployment rates, official figures, the unofficial figures could be up to 50%. That means you have a lot of people on the streets who need jobs. And people can only get jobs when they are businesses. And businesses can only operate when there's infrastructure, when there's an enabling environment, when there are incentives for them. Therefore, the government of Delta State intends for its population to be actively engaged. We are targeting like an unemployment ratio of less than 5% or even less than 1% in another 10 years. And the only way that can happen is when you create opportunities for businesses to come in. It's a PPP arrangement, but right now the government is the lead operator. The government intends to divest its interests by advertising for a concessionaire. That we will be doing in the second quarter of this year. The government cannot operate this. It doesn't have the infrastructure to operate this kind of project. And when I say infrastructure here, I mean human infrastructure as well as physical infrastructure. Therefore, you need private sector support, you need private funding, you need people to run it as a business. It's a business that can generate revenue and it can be run profitably as well. So private sector should come in, but the government is leading and working as a catalyst so that the development can be expedited. That's why the government is doing all of what it is doing now.
Talking about the funding of the project, the financial controller, Emmanuel Okojovo, tells us more.
The project is costing $1.5 billion for the entire project. It's covering 329 hectares of land, and it's a mixed-use development. It's going to have the industrial area, the residential area. It's going to have the logistics area. It's also going to have recreation. All right, so it's a mixed use, and with integrated infrastructure that will compare with such special economic zones anywhere in the world.
How's this fund being sourced?
Basically, government is bringing in seed capital, but the development of the park generally is going to be done by the private sector through concessioning of the project. Government is introducing a seed capital, or is bringing in seed capital of about $100 million. Already committed about $40 million, and they have another $60 million committed over the next 2-3 years.
In this industrial park, to put all of the infrastructure and all of the different sectors together, like the residential area, the retail area, the commercial retail, and then also build the power infrastructure, the gas infrastructure, water treatment, and of course the logistics, the jetty, the helipad. You're looking at a figure of about 1.5 billion. This investment will be required between a 3 to 7 year period, depending on what kind of concessionaire we get. But I anticipate that it might actually take a shorter period to be a fully built up area because of the kind of interest that has been shown in our investment promotion drive.
Considering the status quo of similar projects in Nigeria, the project coordinator, Muzimo Okosubode, speaks on the feasibility of the project.
We've been engaged in planning over the last 2 years and about now rounding up planning activities. And we're scheduled to go to site sometime in April, end of first quarter of this year. We're going to site. If you look in the papers last week, or between last week and this week, we just advertised for pre-qualification of contractors who will be engaged to carry out execution work on the project site, so we are very ready to go to site.
As of today, we have done all of the critical planning work, i.e. there's a master plan in place, the engineering design is ongoing, that will be concluded in a few months, by June precisely. We've done the design for the startup area. We have full design for our first administrative iconic building, which is supposed to catalyze growth in that area. We also have done the environmental impact assessment. We've done our soil test. We've done a market study. We have a business plan. We have figures. We have numbers to show that the project is feasible. We are now at the tail end of all of the pre-operational planning that is critical to ensure successful execution.
And the project being close to the implementation stage is believed to be readily attracting expression of interest.
We have gone a step further to say invite interested investors to the state, and they've heard that today. They've heard what we've spoken about today. They will now express their interest, and having expressed their interest and having met most of them here today, we'll be able to talk one-on-one, and then be able to evaluate whether they are serious investors, and then we'll move further by doing contracts.
A forum like this, the binational between Nigeria and South Africa, has not been useless. The fact that you have all these companies that were here in Nigeria and cooperation at this level of trade in South Africa as well is testimony to the fact that these forums do work.
Yes, we have several expressions of interest from Chevron, Dangote, Lafarge, Ascon Oil, Xenon. We've had interest from different corners, and we believe that once they see that the government has started working and the site is up and going, they would all make very firm commitments to move into sites.
Lately, quite a number of concession projects in Nigeria have proven unsuccessful. While local and international investors look forward to a genuine concessioning practice in Nigeria, the Delta State government might have to intensify efforts to ensure that the scheme in question turns out a remarkable success.